At 65 years old, Tom finally did it. The retirement party was beautiful. The speeches were warm. The cake was decorated with tiny golf clubs and palm trees. His coworkers laughed. His children smiled. His wife cried. Everyone said the same thing. "You made it!" And Tom believed them, because for 43 years he had been waiting for this day. The finish line, the reward, the freedom, the beginning of the best years of his life. At least, that's what everyone told him. But 90 days later, Tom was sitting alone in his living room, television on, volume low, staring through the screen. And for the first time in decades, he couldn't answer a simple question. What am I supposed to do tomorrow? That question destroyed him. And he wasn't alone, because every year, millions of people spend their entire lives preparing for retirement. And then something happens that nobody warned them about. Not a market crash, not a health crisis, not running out of money. Something far more dangerous. Something that quietly steals joy from people who spent decades working to earn it. Tonight, I want to tell you what happened to them. Because if you're retired or planning to retire, this might be the most important conversation you'll ever hear. My name is Frank, and this story begins with a lie. A lie almost everyone believes. The lie is simple. Retirement is the destination. Work hard, save enough, pay off the house, invest wisely, reach retirement, and then happiness automatically arrives. Simple, clean, logical. The problem? Human beings don't work that way, because happiness doesn't come from arriving somewhere. It comes from moving towards something. For 40 years, most people wake up with purpose already assigned. A schedule, responsibilities, deadlines, problems to solve, people who need them. Their days have structure, meaning, momentum. Then retirement arrives, and suddenly all of it disappears. Not gradually, not gently, overnight. One Friday, you're needed everywhere. On Monday, nobody calls, nobody asks, nobody depends on you. For some people, that feels wonderful for a while. Then something unexpected begins to happen. The days start blending together. Monday feels like Thursday. Thursday feels like Sunday. Weeks disappear, then months, and people start feeling something they never expected. Not stress, not pressure, not exhaustion, emptiness. Researchers have studied this phenomenon for years, and over again, they find the same pattern. Many retirees experience an initial honeymoon period. The first few months feel amazing. Sleep late, travel, relax, do whatever you want. But after that honeymoon ends, many begin struggling with identity. Because for decades, they answered a simple question. What do you do? And the answer was immediate. I'm an engineer. I'm a teacher. I'm a business owner. I'm a nurse. I'm a manager. But retirement takes away that answer. And suddenly, people realize they never prepared for the second question. Who am I without my job? One man told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Frank, I spent 40 years building a career. I spent 6 months preparing for retirement. Maybe that's the problem." And I think he was right. Because most people spend decades planning their finances, but almost no time planning their lives. Think about that. We carefully calculate investment returns, withdrawal rates, Social Security strategies, healthcare costs. Yet almost nobody sits down and asks, What will make me excited to get out of bed? What will challenge me? Who will I spend time with? What will give my life meaning? And that's where the trouble begins. Let me tell you about Susan. Susan retired at 67, financially secure, no debt, healthy, smart. Everything looked perfect. The first month was wonderful. The second month was relaxing. By month 6, she felt invisible. Not because anyone was being cruel, because the world simply moved on. Her former workplace found a replacement. Meetings continued without her. Projects continued without her. Life continued without her. And that realization hit harder than she expected. One day, she told her daughter, "I thought retirement would feel like freedom. Instead, it feels like being forgotten." That sentence broke my heart, because I know exactly what she meant. The truth is, human beings need significance. We need to feel useful. We need to matter. Money cannot replace that. A large investment account cannot replace that. A paid-off house cannot replace that. And that's why some retirees become miserable despite having more money than they ever imagined. They solved the financial problem, but they never solved the purpose problem. Now, here's the surprising part. The happiest retirees I have ever met all have something in common, and it isn't wealth. In fact, some of them have less money than the unhappy retirees. What they have is direction. One man volunteers 3 days a week teaching kids. Another started learning photography at 70. One woman began mentoring young entrepreneurs. Another spends her mornings helping at an animal shelter. One retired couple started exploring a new town every month. Notice something? None of these people are sitting around waiting for happiness. They're creating it. They're still growing, still learning, still contributing, still moving forward. Because retirement was never supposed to be the end of the story. It's simply the end of employment. Those are very different things. And that's why so many people get trapped. They accidentally turn retirement into permanent vacation. Now, don't get me wrong, vacations are wonderful, for 2 weeks, maybe 3. But imagine doing nothing meaningful for 6 months, a year, 5 years. Eventually, relaxation stops feeling like freedom. It starts feeling like drift. And drift is dangerous, because life needs direction. Without direction, days become random. Without purpose, time becomes heavy. Without goals, even success begins to feel empty. I learned this lesson from a retired pilot named Richard. Richard had dreamed about retirement since his 40s. He counted down the years, counted down the months, counted down the days. Then retirement arrived, and he hated it. 3 years later, he told me why. He said, "Frank, for decades, I thought retirement meant escaping responsibility. What I discovered is that responsibility was giving me meaning." Think about that. The thing he wanted to escape was actually supporting him, and once it disappeared, he felt lost, until he found a new mission. He began teaching young pilots. Suddenly, his energy returned, his enthusiasm returned, his sense of purpose returned. Nothing changed financially. Only one thing changed. He became useful again. That's the secret nobody talks about. The human spirit was built for contribution, not endless consumption, not endless entertainment. Contribution, helping, teaching, building, creating, serving, growing. That's where fulfillment lives. And that's why waiting your whole life for retirement can sometimes lead to disappointment. Not because retirement is bad, because expectations were wrong.
People expected retirement to give them meaning. Retirement can't do that. Only you can. The happiest retirees don't retire from life. They retire into something, into a mission, into a passion, into a community, into a challenge, into a new chapter. That's the difference. And if you're listening to me right now, whether you're 45, 55, 65, or 75, I want you to remember something. Don't just build a retirement account, build a retirement life. Don't just ask how much money you'll have, ask who you'll become. Don't just prepare to stop working, prepare to start living differently. Because the people who thrive after retirement aren't the ones with the biggest portfolios. They're the ones with a reason to wake up tomorrow. And maybe that's the real goal. Not reaching retirement, but reaching a life so meaningful that retirement becomes the beginning of something even better. I'm Frank, and if this story made you think about your own future, then maybe today is the perfect day to start planning not just for retirement, but for the life that comes after it.